The corridors of Nexus Prime Military Academy hummed with the gentle thrum of artificial gravity generators, their pristine white walls reflecting the soft, bioluminescent panels that provided illumination throughout the station. Cadet Maya Chen walked purposefully through the hallway, her worn combat boots making barely a whisper against the polished floor. Her dark hair was pulled back in regulation style, and her human-issued uniform bore the distinctive red stripe that marked her as a Deathworlder, a term the other species used with equal parts fear and disdain. At 19 standard years, Maya was already considered ancient by galactic standards. Most species reached full maturity within their first decade, but humans were different. They were slow to mature, slow to learn, and according to most of the galaxy, slow to die. What the other species didn't understand was that this perceived weakness was actually humanity's greatest strength. Well, look what we have here, came a chittering voice from behind her. Maya didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Zexkar, a Velthari warrior caste, had made her life miserable since the day she'd arrived at the Academy 6 months ago. The insectoid alien stood nearly 8 feet tall on his 4 legs, his carapace gleaming with the natural armor that made his species nearly invulnerable to conventional weapons. She turned slowly, her movements deliberate and controlled. 7 figures now blocked the corridor, Zexkar and his usual crew of followers. There was Bulmont, a massive Kriegan whose rocky hide could deflect plasma bolts. 2 Ceruleans whose 4 arms and lightning-fast reflexes made them formidable in close combat. A pair of Nethys twins whose telepathic coordination was legendary. And Kordash, whose acidic spit could melt through most metals. The little Deathworlder thinks she belongs here, Zexkar continued, his mandibles clicking in what passed for laughter among his kind. In a real military academy. Maya's expression remained neutral, but those who knew humans well enough might have noticed the subtle signs. The slight tension in her shoulders, the way her weight shifted almost imperceptibly to the balls of her feet, the barely visible dilation of her pupils. "I've earned my place here," she said quietly, her voice carrying despite its low volume. Bulmont rumbled forward, his massive frame casting a shadow over the human. "Earned? You're from a gravity well so deep it should have crushed your pathetic bones. Your species can barely leave their own planet without mechanical assistance. And yet," Maya replied, "here I am." The Ceruleans hissed and moved to flank her, their 4 arms weaving in complex patterns that spoke of their martial training. The Nethys twins remained perfectly still, their large eyes focused intently on Maya as they shared thoughts at the speed of synaptic firing. "Your kind is weak," Zexkar spat, literally, a glob of acidic saliva that Maya sidestepped without apparent effort. "Soft, slow. You have no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities, your evolutionary mistakes." Maya's heart rate began to increase, not from fear, but from anticipation. Her adrenal glands, those wonderful human evolutionary gifts, began to flood her system with chemicals that would enhance her performance beyond what any other species could naturally achieve. "You want to know what makes humans different?" Maya asked, her voice taking on an edge that made several of the aliens step back unconsciously. "It's not that we're weak. It's that we're from a world that tried to kill us every single day for millions of years." Time seemed to slow as Maya's enhanced reflexes kicked in. The Ceruleans moved first, their 4 arms lashing out in coordinated strikes that should have been impossible to counter. But Maya had trained in Earth's crushing gravity since she could walk, her bones dense as steel, her muscles coiled springs of devastating potential. She ducked under the first Cerulean strike, her elbow driving upward into its thorax with a sickening crack. The second Cerulean's multiple arms became a liability as Maya grabbed 2 of them, using the alien's own momentum to spin it into the corridor wall with bone-shattering force. Bulmont charged, his massive bulk seemingly unstoppable. Maya didn't try to stop him. Instead, she used his own momentum against him, stepping aside at the last possible moment and driving her fist into a gap in his rocky hide. The impact, delivered with the precision of someone who had studied anatomy across dozens of species, sent the giant crashing to the ground, unconscious. The Nethys twins attacked in perfect coordination, their telepathic link allowing them to fight as one organism. But Maya had trained against coordinated opponents before, and she knew that their greatest strength was also their weakness. She feinted left, drawing their attack, then spun right, her legs sweeping both twins off their feet before they could adjust their shared strategy. Kordash opened his mouth to spit acid, but Maya was already moving. Her hand shot out, fingers striking a precise nerve cluster that paralyzed the alien's throat muscles. He collapsed, gasping for air. That left Zexkar, the ringleader, who had been so confident in his followers that he'd simply watched the carnage unfold. Now he faced the small human alone, his mandibles clicking nervously. "Impossible," he whispered. Maya straightened, not even breathing hard despite the explosive violence of the past few seconds. "You said humans have no natural weapons," she said, flexing her fingers. "You were wrong. We are the weapon. Our entire bodies honed by a world that tried to kill us with weather, predators, disease, and disasters you can't even imagine." Zexkar raised his razor-sharp foreclaws, but Maya was already inside his guard. Her palm strike to his thorax was delivered with surgical precision, hitting the nerve cluster that would shut down his voluntary motor functions without permanent damage. The insectoid warrior crumpled to the deck. The entire encounter had lasted 9 seconds. As Maya stood among the unconscious forms of her attackers, other cadets began to emerge from nearby rooms, drawn by the sound of the brief but intense combat. Their expressions ranged from shock to awe to newfound respect. Commander Theklor, a distinguished Altarian officer, arrived moments later. His 4 eyes took in the scene. 7 of the Academy's most formidable cadets unconscious on the floor, and 1 small human standing calmly among them. "Cadet Chen," he said finally, "report to medical to ensure you're uninjured, then to my office for debriefing." "Yes, sir," Maya replied. As she walked away, the commander heard her mutter under her breath, "Welcome to Earth's training program." The other cadets parted before her like water, finally understanding what it truly meant to be from a death world. They had learned in 9 seconds why humanity had not just survived their hostile planet, but had thrived enough to reach for the stars. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again.